We've spoken a little bit about the shoulder and how it works, and we saw in particular that when we see how it's designed as a whole, that this gives us a framework for becoming aware in an organized way. We could think of each segment of the arm and shoulder. And it also is an actual framework that helps muscles to work better. And I want to look at those two elements in a little more detail. And I want to focus in particular on the hand and forearm. To use the hand, we have to employ muscles of the forearm. We have a bunch of muscles here that act on the hand at the wrists and fingers. The muscles taper into tendons that cross the wrist, attaching to the wrist bones here, or continuing to the fingers where they act on the fingers. And these muscles make it possible to powerfully grip or grasp something, like if you're hanging from your arms. Now, we can try to release or relax those muscles directly. But the first thing that will happen is these muscles, the fingers will curl up, and these muscles will go into a kind of a habitually contracted state. When we place the hands on the table like this, now the hand is actually supported in such a way that the muscles can't get away with shortening because the fingers are extended. So in a way, the muscles aren't just pulling now on the fingers, but the fingers are actually keeping some length on the muscles. We could take that even further if you place your elbow on the table like this. Now, with the elbow placed on the table and your fingers extended, now you have a kind of length between the elbow and the fingers and the thumb. And you could think about your fingers going up to the ceiling. You could think of that with the thumb as well. And because now we're not contracting the fingers, but instead thinking of them lengthening, the fingers will, the thought of lengthening the finger will affect the tone in the muscles of the forearm, which will begin to let go into length. You may not feel it at first, but if you keep thinking it, you'll notice after a bit that the muscles here get a little more elastic. If you don't feel it, it doesn't matter. Just try it a little bit. So now what we're doing is, instead of muscles pulling on bones, pulling on the fingers, now we're thinking of the fingers in such a way that they'll affect the tone of the muscles. So that's the first thing. We're using our awareness in such a way that we're beginning to make changes in the muscles by thinking of the parts to which they attach. Okay. The second part is, if you come back to the framework or sort of scaffolding that we spoke about, when the hands are placed parallel on the table like this, and we saw that the bones now form a kind of a geometric kind of configuration, you'll see that the fingers coming out of the forearm, and you might feel those changes in the forearm, now begin to bring about a change in the musculature and connective tissue of the forearm, which begins to lengthen. If you think of the scaffolding that we spoke of, this is kind of a bony structure. We have that segment here, these segments of the hand and fingers that make up that segment. We have these two bones that make up that segment, these two bones, and across the shoulders. If you think of that as a kind of a bony scaffolding or framework, the muscles are, in a sense, suspended between the bones. And because we contract them so much, they often will get habitually shortened. And what we're doing now is giving them a chance to let go into length. So now we can see that that design of the shoulders is giving us a framework for being aware in a organized way, and it's a framework within which the muscles and connective tissue can actually let go into length between their bony attachments. We're no longer trying to fix something or correct something. Now we're actually reinstating the natural design of the arms and shoulders, and we're doing it in a way that gives us real awareness and control that we can apply to our activities as an ongoing learning process in whatever we're doing.